The crystal chandeliers of the grand ballroom at the plaza sparkled above my father's 60th birthday celebration. I stood in a corner, watching my sister Amanda direct waiters with the same authority she used to manage her prestigious real estate portfolio. "Charlotte." Amanda's voice cut through the classical music. "Still hiding in corners? Like that shabby little office of yours." My shabby little office was actually the control center for Urban Core Holdings, the largest property management company in North America. But Amanda didn't need to know that. "Not yet. The corner suits me fine," I replied, checking my phone as another alert came from my operations director. "Ms. Chen, acquisition of Midwest Power Grid complete. You now control 65% of the city's power infrastructure. Total property holdings, $22.4 billion. Still playing landlord to those small buildings downtown?" Amanda sashayed over, champagne in hand. "You know, my firm manages premium properties. Real buildings, not those outdated offices you rent out." I thought about the meeting I'd had yesterday with her firm's owner, begging me not to acquire their latest target property. "Thanks, Amanda. I'll keep that in mind." My father appeared, his custom tuxedo a testament to old money trying to look like new money. "Charlotte, at least try to mingle. The Harrisons are asking about you. Though I told them you're still finding yourself." The Harrisons, whose entire office tower I'd bought last week. They had no idea their new landlord was standing in this corner, wearing a simple black dress that cost more than their annual rent. "Finding myself?" I smiled. "Something like that. Still in that tiny office?" Dad sneered. "The one above the coffee shop? Really, Charlotte, it's embarrassing. Your sister manages 50 premium properties. I managed 500, but who was counting?" My phone buzzed again. "City Power Grid integration complete. All systems operational under Urban Core control." "Charlotte." My mother glided over, pearls gleaming. "Do try to look more successful. The Hendersons remember you from that awful little storefront office." The Hendersons, whose building's power supply I now controlled, along with every other major structure in the downtown corridor. "Miss Chen," another message flashed. "Temperature control systems in all properties now centrally linked. Awaiting your command for full system test." Amanda returned, this time with her husband James, a commercial real estate mogul, who owned 3 buildings, all of which unknowingly now belonged to me through shell companies. "Still working out of that coffee shop building?" James smirked. "You know, real estate requires vision, Charlotte. Not everyone has what it takes." "Vision? Like buying up every power station, grid connection and utility contract in the city through dozens of seemingly unrelated companies. Like controlling the temperature, electricity and security systems of every major building in the financial district." "Look at her," Amanda Stage whispered to our mother. "Hiding in corners while we celebrate. Maybe this will finally make her understand that small-time property management isn't real success." Real success. Like the empire I'd built while they mocked my tiny office. But here I stood in my corner, watching them celebrate in a building I'd acquired last month. "Miss Chen." My phone lit up again. "Final integration complete. You now have central control of all building systems in your properties. Total reach, 80% of downtown infrastructure." I looked around the ballroom at all these successful people in their expensive clothes, celebrating in their prestigious venue. None of them knew that every light, every air conditioning vent, every elevator in their precious buildings answered to my commands. "Such a shame," my father's voice carried. "All that education and she ends up in a coffee shop office." I smiled, thinking about the power that literally rested in my palm. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's having your finger on the switch. I watched as Amanda orchestrated the perfect moment for Dad to blow out his birthday candles. The lights dimmed right on cue, not because of her careful planning, but because I'd programmed it through my building management system. "Ms. Chen," my operations director messaged, "all systems ready for your demonstration. One command will activate emergency protocols in all owned properties." "Still playing with your little rental software?" James appeared beside me, swirling expensive scotch in a crystal glass. "You know, real property management requires more than just a laptop in a coffee shop." My rental software controlled more square footage than his entire company had managed in its history. I checked my phone again, watching the real-time data from thousands of buildings flow across my screen. Temperature adjustment in the Harrington Tower complete. Another alert read. They've signed the management transfer agreement. You now control 85% of premium office space downtown. Through the ballroom's windows I could see the city skyline. My skyline. Each glittering building, each flowing power line, each climate control system waited for my command. The empire I'd built in silence while they mocked my small office. Charlotte, my mother's voice dripped with familiar disappointment. Put that phone away. This isn't one of your tenant meetings. My tenant meetings usually involved acquiring entire city blocks. Last week, I'd bought the power company that supplied electricity to Mother's beloved country club, the one that had rejected my membership for being insufficiently accomplished. Ms. Chen, my security chief's voice came through my earpiece. The merger documents are ready. One signature and you'll control 90% of the city's commercial real estate. Amanda clinked her glass, gathering everyone's attention. Daddy's little girl made good, she announced, her voice carrying across the ballroom. 50 premium properties under management. The Anderson Group's rising star. I smiled, thinking about the letter in my pocket informing the Anderson Group that their management contracts for all 50 properties had been terminated. Their new owner, me, had different plans. Charlotte, my father boomed, come join your successful sister. Though. He smirked, perhaps you can tell us about your little coffee shop office. How many units are you managing now? 6. 512 buildings, I said softly but only to myself. 87 power stations. 90% of the city's climate control systems. What was that? Amanda cupped her ear mockingly. Couldn't hear you from your corner. Ms. Chen, my phone lit up. The Anderson Group is attempting to negotiate their contract termination. They're offering triple their current rates. I watched as James pulled out his phone, frowning at what must have been news of his company's latest failed acquisition attempt. He didn't know that every property he'd tried to buy in the last year had been purchased by one of my shell companies. Charlotte, Mother appeared with the Hendersons in tow. Do try to explain your situation to them. Though perhaps leave out the coffee shop part. Mr. Henderson checked his watch. A cheap imitation of the one I wore. A gift from the Saudi investment group after I'd acquired their American properties. Charlotte, we heard you're in property management? Something like that. I smiled, watching their building's lights through the window. Lights I controlled. Small scale, I assume? Mrs. Henderson added kindly. Everyone has to start somewhere. Start somewhere. Like buying every power station in the tri-state area. Like controlling the infrastructure that kept their precious social world running. Ms. Chen, another alert flashed. The city's power grid is ready for your system test. One command will demonstrate full control capabilities. I looked around the ballroom at all these people who'd dismissed me, mocked my tiny office, laughed at my small-time operation. None of them knew that their lights, their heating, their elevators all answered to my commands. Amanda was back, champagne in hand. Oh, Charlotte, I just heard the funniest thing. Someone said you were trying to buy the Westbrook building. She laughed. I mean, really? That's a premium property, darling. They don't sell to, well, coffee shop managers. I thought about the Westbrook building's deed safely stored in my office. The one above the coffee shop they loved to mock. Along with the deeds to every other premium property Amanda had tried to acquire this year. Ms. Chen, my operations director messaged, ready for power demonstration. Awaiting your command. I looked at my father, still holding court in the center of the room. A real estate empire, he was saying, requires vision. Like Amanda's 50 properties. Not some small-time rental operation. I smiled, reaching for my phone. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's having your finger on the switch. And it was time to flip that switch. I opened my building management app, the one Amanda had once called cute, and typed a simple command, Initiate Protocol 0. The response was immediate. Like a wave of darkness, the city skyline began to go dark, building by building, block by block. Inside the ballroom, the crystal chandeliers flickered and died, plunging my father's perfect party into darkness. What's happening? Amanda's voice carried through the sudden silence. Backup generators should kick in, James announced confidently. But they wouldn't. As I controlled those two. Ms. Chin, my operations director confirmed, all owned properties responding to Protocol 0. Power grid functioning exactly as designed. Phones started lighting up around the ballroom as the city's elite received frantic calls. Through the windows we could see half the city had gone dark. Every building I owned, every property under my control. The Anderson Building, someone shouted. The Westbrook Tower too. The whole financial district. I watched as James frantically tried to call his building managers. But the security systems, elevators and climate controls in his properties now answered only to me. This is impossible, Amanda was saying into her phone. What do you mean all 50 properties? How can they all lose power at once? Ms. Chin, my security chief reported, the Anderson Group is in chaos. Their entire portfolio has gone dark. Should I release the ownership documents now? Not yet, I replied softly. Let them sweat a little longer. My father was barking orders into his phone, his face illuminated by its screen. What do you mean you can't reach building management? Who owns these properties? Who controls the power? I do, I said, my voice carrying through the darkness. The ballroom fell silent. Dozens of phone lights turned to face me. What did you say? Amanda's voice trembled. I touched my phone again and the chandeliers blazed to life, but only above me, creating a spotlight effect that would have made any theater director proud. Urban Core Holdings, I announced, owns or controls 512 buildings in this city, including every property the Anderson Group manages, every building James tried to buy, and this hotel. That's impossible, James stammered. Urban Core is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're the largest property owner in North America. Yes, I smiled. We are. We, my father's voice cracked. I touched my phone again and every screen in the ballroom, phones, tablets, laptops, displayed the same breaking news alert. Urban Core Holdings founder revealed. Charlotte Chen's real estate empire valued at $22.4 billion. That office above the coffee shop? I continued, enjoying their stunned faces. It's actually the central control hub for every major building in the city. That cute software Amanda mocked? It controls the power grid for 3 states. But your small rental operation, Mother whispered, was a cover. While you were bragging about 50 properties, I was buying 500. While James was trying to acquire individual buildings, I was purchasing entire city blocks. The lights in the ballroom slowly came back on, one by one as I commanded them through my phone. The Westbrook Building you laughed about, Amanda? I bought it last month. Along with every other property you tried to manage this year. As of tomorrow, the Anderson Group's management contracts are terminated. Amanda's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering in the newly restored light. Charlotte, my father stepped forward, his banker's instincts kicking in. Why didn't you tell us? We could have worked together. Like when you said I was embarrassing the family with my small-time ambitions. Or when you told the Hendersons I was finding myself in property management. I gestured to the city through the windows. I found myself all right. I found myself building an empire while you were mocking my coffee shop office. Miss Chin, my phone buzzed. City Planning Commission is requesting emergency meeting. Also, your net worth just updated to $23.1 billion with the Midwest acquisitions. That's more than the Anderson Group's entire portfolio, James muttered, his face ashen. It's more than every property management company in the city combined, I corrected him. Speaking of which, I touched my phone one more time and the lights went out in every building James owned. Consider that your notice of termination, I smiled in the darkness. Urban Core Holdings will be assuming direct management of all properties, effective immediately. But the tenants. Amanda sputtered. Already know. The announcement went out an hour ago. Turns out they prefer having their power controlled by the actual owner, not a third-party management firm. The emergency lights kicked in, bathing the ballroom in a red glow that seemed fitting for the moment. You see, Father, I said, walking toward the door, a real estate empire does require vision. Vision enough to see past a coffee shop office to the control center it concealed. Vision enough to build something bigger than 50 premium properties. Charlotte, Mother called out, her social survival instincts kicking in. Surely we can discuss this. We can, I agreed, pausing at the door. In my office. The real one. It takes up the top 10 floors of the Urban Core Tower. The building you all said I could never afford to enter. I looked back at their stunned faces, lit by the emergency lights I controlled. Oh, and Amanda? About those 50 properties you manage? Check your email. Urban Core Holdings has different plans for them. Though I might keep one small management position open, above a coffee shop. As I walked out, I heard James whisper, all this time, while we were laughing at her tiny office. Happy birthday, Father, I called back. Consider this your gift, a lesson in what real vision looks like. The elevator doors closed on their shocked expressions, and I ascended toward my waiting car. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's having the power to turn off their lights. Send them each a copy of tomorrow's Wall Street Journal, I told my assistant. I believe the headline coffee shop to corporate tower, how Charlotte Chin built a $23 billion real estate empire, might make interesting reading at their next power lunch. After all, some parties are better in the dark. I watched through my car's tinted windows as the emergency generators finally kicked in at the plaza, restoring power to my father's ruined party. My phone buzzed continuously with messages from family members who had suddenly discovered my number. Ms. Chen, my operations director, reported, the Anderson Group stock has dropped 40% since the announcement. Your sister's position has been terminated effective immediately. I smiled, thinking about all the times they'd mocked my tiny operation. Now Amanda would understand what real property management looked like. One more thing, I told my driver as we pulled away from the curb. Take us past the coffee shop. I think I'll work from my small office tonight. After all, it seemed fitting to run my empire from the very place they'd ridiculed. Tomorrow the city would wake up to learn that their buildings, their power, their very infrastructure was controlled by the woman they'd dismissed as a small-time property manager. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just showing them your success. It's letting them realize they never saw it coming, even when it was right above their favorite coffee shop.